I call to order the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass City Council, July 18, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Let's all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Our Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of this fine community. We pray that you give us the wisdom, the direction to serve you and all the citizens of Aransas Pass and this area well. Again, we thank you for the opportunity, and we again wish for the wisdom to do a wonderful job for all of those involved with the city. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go to presentations and proclamations, and it'll go to Gary for the fiscal year budget.
I'm going to go ahead and kick it off, Mayor and Council. And this is part of the budget procedure we're about to present. And the Finance Director, Sandra Garcia, will be giving some of the numbers. All of this is very, very preliminary. You need to keep that in mind. We finished the budget meetings, and they've gone over well. We're worried about, of course, the economy. We don't know what's going to happen with the national and state economy. That will have a direct bearing on this. But this gives you a peek in a very liquid situation at this point until more firm numbers come in. So with that said, I'll go ahead and pull up what we have at this point and all that we can have at this point. And the Finance Director, Sandra Garcia, will go into some details. Sandra.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Like Mr. Edwards pointed out, this is a very fluid, very rough draft of the budget as it stands right now. We did have our budget workshops with the department directors. This pretty much, as you can see, like in the fund balance, for example, the very first one, you'll see that there is a shortfall of $725,000 there. We've kept everything in that the departments were asking, all their wish list items and needs that they're needing. We didn't do anything with salaries. We're pretty much having the salaries as they are right now. The reason why we're seeing these numbers that some are deficit and some are very big surpluses is we don't have the certified values yet. July 25th is going to be the date that we're going to be getting the certified values, and it's at that point that we can really start to narrow down what our anticipated revenues. One of our biggest revenue sources is obviously our property taxes. So at that point, we're going to be able to see how much property tax the general fund is going to be receiving, and of that, what projects and what funding, what capital projects, what capital outlays we're going to be able to do at that point. And then Mr. Edwards will go ahead and start reviewing that and making cuts and changes as needed. But as of right now, if you take overall the net effect of it all, overall we're short almost $400,000. But since you really can't combine each fund stands individually. So you have a shortfall of $725 in the general fund, a surplus about $750 in the debt service, another shortfall in the water and sewer. We have a surplus in the harbor fund of $254. The aquatic center has somewhat of a shortfall for $177 for the year. The civic center, we're going to be looking at those numbers a little bit further, has just a very minor shortfall of $64, but those are just raw numbers right now. Everything is just the data is very raw right now. We don't have, like I said, I can't stress enough that this is just a very starting point. This is not going to be where we're going to end up at. All right. Do you all have any questions? No?
No, not until we get the real numbers.
And just want to emphasize that we've taken very little out at this point.
Correct.
So there's been no trimming, basically. So this is like throwing everything in before we get to the fine tuning of it. and that is coming also, in addition to finding out what revenue numbers are coming in also. So very preliminary.
Yes, everything will start after the 25th, yes.
Will you be able to give us a better budget on the workshop at the 28th, or not? really?
No, that's going
Wait
to be
till
too
the-
close. Yeah,
Oh, that's
because
what I
we
figured.
need to review the numbers,
Let's do
and
it
then
in
Gary
August.
needs to evaluate what we're going to keep and if we're going to do how we're going to finance or what we're going to do with the big capital outlay items and stuff like that. So
Perfect.
it's too quick of a turnaround for me to tell you yes on that. Okay? Anything else? No?
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of this item unless a council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I make a motion that we approve the meeting of June 6, 2022 for the regular meeting, and June 17th, 2022 for the workshop meeting as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then, number 6 has been taken off.
If the council agrees, if we could table that, everybody and their uncle has COVID over at the Public Works Department, so they could not be here tonight because of that.
Thank goodness they're not here. I don't need
Keep them
that.
out. Oh. Okay, I make a motion to table case number CC 2207-02 to August 1st.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna go to the city manager, which is consider an act and approving a publicity and tourism agreement between the city of Aransas Pass and the Aransas Pass Chamber of Commerce for a one-year term beginning October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to apologize to you right now in case I get a coughing fit because I just got over COVID myself and I have a really bad cough. So I'm hoping that I can get through this without running out. So I'm going to present to you the 2022 City of Aransas Pass presentation, which is a really good presentation. I enjoy doing this for you every year because it really gives us a good look, an overall picture of how we're doing as a community. And what we're going to be doing going forward. So we're going to start with the first slide. The first slide is our website analytics, and we put on here the 2017 numbers because I think it's important for y'all to see how well we were doing in 2017 pre-Harvey, because that was going to be one of our record-breaking years. And so right now we're at 94,000 hits on our website. Those are people who are looking at Aransas Pass. We're only 6 months into the year right now, and those numbers are already at 71% of the overall year. So over 2017, we're already at 71%. We still have 6 months to go, and 2 of those months are pretty trafficy. So you've got July coming up and August, and those are heavy traffic for tourism. So this is a great indication of the upward trend that we're going in Aransas Pass. Your next slide is going to be the states that are looking at us. So these are the states. If you look at the bottom, you'll see 2021, the top 5 states that were looking at us. And New York is actually on there now. I don't know if those people are done with COVID and they want to come down here with us now, but for some reason New York now is one of the top 5 states that's looking at us, and always, of course, Texas is always on there, and Florida. So those are the 2 that I always kind of see, is the Texas and Florida, but it's interesting to see Illinois and New York on there as well. And then the top cities that are looking at us, always Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. Most of the time it's San Antonio over Houston and Austin. A couple of times it was Houston. Now it's funny because Austin is kind of taking over that market. But when we market for San Antonio, we also market for Austin. So it's really just kind of a circle where sometimes you have Austin over San Antonio and vice versa. And then the other city that's on there is Corpus Christi. Now it's important for you to see that if you look at Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio, that's 90% of our audience. So the interests that we get on our website are coming from 90% out of town, and then Corpus Christi is more local and in town. So just remember that, because I'm going to bring that up again in another slide. And these are the top things that they're looking at on our website. So, of course, Shrimpery is going to always be a big deal, but events is really a major thing for our community. So anytime there's an event, anytime there's something to do, when people are calling us or they're coming into our office, they're always looking for things to do when they're coming here. Now, while they're here, they're staying in a hotel, pretty much that's already done when they're out of town, which is why it's at number 4. But once they get here, they're looking for, hey, where do I go eat? what are things to do, what do you recommend, that kind of thing. So, and then Party Gras was really surprising to us to see that Party Gras even went over like some of the tournaments and Hotties on the Harbor and the car show. For some reason, Party Gras was just a really, really good event. People loved it. And so we're taking notes of that now. We're going to start planning for that next year, and hopefully it'll be a bigger event next year, still for the same amount of hours, because it was really a lot, and it's hard to close down the street for anything more than a few hours in that area. But if we can make it bigger, it'll be a good event. Plus, the downtown businesses loved it. They didn't like it initially. They kind of had some heartaches about us closing the street, and they couldn't understand why we had to close the street, and they weren't going to have business. But halfway through the event, they were loving it and realizing, hey, we need to keep our doors open. Are y'all going to do this again? When are you going to do it again? When are you going to have an event in the downtown? And because of that, now we have another event coming up in the downtown, which I'm sure you'll hear about pretty soon. So here's the visitor center tracking that we get in the visitor center. So it's going to be or on the phone, shrimpery, beach, waterway access. So lots of people coming to town for beach and waterway access. Overnight camping, the flats, anything beach related. Sometimes I look at that and I'm like, oh, what can we do to capture that audience? Because we have tons of people coming here asking for those things, but they're not staying here in Aransas Pass. So we really need to be looking at ways to capture them and keep them here. And I think I can help you with that a little bit. Another slide though, but not right here. So these are the things they're looking for. And this is our monthly sales tax. I'm sure you've seen these with Sandra. I did want to point out that if you look at 2017 and 2022, the numbers are significantly higher. If you look at June of 2017 and the bottom of 2022, it's 70,000. This year it's 107,000. The only time that it kind of leveled out was in April, where you see the 2021 number over 2022's, but I can tell you that in April was when we opened back up. So the area opened back up after COVID. People were excited. They started coming out, and we saw that upward trend come up. But now it's starting kind of leveling back out with 2021 and just a little bit over that number. So we're getting there. And then this is our traffic counts for the ferry. I had some notes on that too, I think. Yeah, it's an upward trend back to the 2017 numbers, pre-Harvey again. So you look at 2021's June, which is as close as we can get to right now. We don't have the July numbers. But it was 223,000 cars passing on 361, and now it's at 219. So that, too, is getting much higher. Yeah. And that's another number that we need to remember. We have 219,000 cars passing in the month of June, July, August, right in our town. We've got to find a way to capture them here in our town. And these are our billboards. So I don't know if you can see, but on that billboard that you have a picture of, there's what you call this little gray area. It's called spangles. So I found a way to order spangles that you can put on your billboard, which kind of has like a glitter effect. So I had them put it underneath our website so you can kind of see it glitter. So from the street, if the sun's out, it forces people's eyes to go towards our banner over other banners in the area. These are the 3 banners that we have. We have 2 that we use out of hot fund money. The Highway 59, which is in Wharton, 5,499 cars pass through their million a year, and then the I-37 San Antonio board, which is a magnificent board. That board right now is running about $4,500, but we get it for $2,000 because we've been grandfathered into it for so long. So I tried to get another one for Caitlin and I were talking about getting one close to it for the Civic Center, and the prices were $4,000. So we got to figure something else out. The good thing about Lamar is I could rent a board from them for 2 months instead of renting it for the whole year. And if nobody rents it, it stays up. And then I can let it sit there for 2 or 3 months and then rent it again, and nobody rents it, and then so it kind of stays there. So we can kind of play with that a little bit and figure out how we can get the best bang for our buck. You can't do that with Cooper or some of the others. You have to do the whole contract for the whole year. But Lamar lets us do that. And then the Highway 181 is the one in Gregory. So we're talking about branding our community. We're talking about branding it over the other communities in the area and what sets us apart from that, and making sure that people have Aransas Pass in their mind as an option for relocating, for staying, for visiting, for playing. So we took on a board that came up there that was not available and finally became available, and we took on that board, and it's a shared board. It's shared between the chamber, the Civic Center and Pool, the PD, and the school district. So we all share that board. It is an expense, but with everybody using it in the months that they need it, we're all sharing that expense. So it's been really good. I think the school's on it right now. I don't know if y'all have seen it in Portland, but the school's using it to promote registration for school right now. And that one has 4.7 million people a year too, so it's a good board. I love this slide because it kind of shows you a little bit of traffic from Party Gras and from the car show. And I remember that 90% that I told you before. So I'm just going to give you an example of what an event means to our community when I say events are very important. Because if you took the attendance at the car show, which was about 1,000 people, I was there. So I know they had quite a bit of traffic. And I say that it had 90% of the people that were there were from out of town. Now, they may or may not have been. We don't count attendance. But I can tell you there was quite a few people from out of town there. This is an aggressive number. But I'm going to say that 900 people there were from out of town. If we take the average spending cost in Texas at $63, there's a mid-range and there's a luxury. So in other words, people spend per day when they travel out of town $63, $158, or $396. I took the lower end just so that I wouldn't go way out there. And I did that times 900 people. That's $56,000 coming into our community from an event. So that's the revenue that would come from an event into our area, just at 1,000 people. So that's why I'm telling you that it's very important for us to try to remember to have events, or if people in the community have an event, that they share it with us so that we know, so that we can help them promote their events. Again, the Party Gras was really, really a good event, and hopefully we can make it really a great event, and it can be an event that lasts forever in our downtown, because it was great and it creates life for our downtown, which is what we want, and we can already see what's happening in that downtown right now. So next slide. And these are the shows that we did. We did one in Houston, we did one in San Antonio. We do them every year. It's our face-to-face with people to talk to them about our community. We're now looking at a Dallas and Fort Worth show, so we can get in that market, and eventually we're going to end up going into the South market, which is past Kingsville, to try to capture some of that. We aren't doing a lot in that area, but we did set aside some money in the budget to start doing some billboards in that area too. Okay, next slide, Gary. And I think there's a commercial here you can play. We just redid the commercial. This is airing right now.
Headed down south to Aransas Pass. Gonna take my family fishing in the saltwater grass. Good food, great fun, relaxing in the sun. Trevor is calling, why don't you come along? Yeah, come on to Aransas Pass.
That's the new one. We have a couple of 15-second ones that we did when we went in different areas. So we use those on our social media to promote, in addition to this one that's on TV. Next slide. Okay, so this is the market that we're in, and when I tell you about San Antonio, Austin, these are the zones that we're in. If you can see the top zones and the top programs, these are the stations that we're on and the different segments that we're on. So we're on Spectrum News, H&L. These are all, we're looking for travel enthusiasts, and this is the market that they pull for that. Next slide. So these will probably all be that. We also do streaming. So streaming is a little bit less expensive for us to do, but it has a huge reach. Everybody's streaming these days. And so this is the streaming that we're doing, the ID, HD, TV, Food, Hallmark, TLC, Spectrum News. And these are the devices that it even tells you down to the devices that they use. That's what we're doing. This is the 2021-2022 campaign that you're looking at. Next slide. Again, this is the streaming and the TV market that we're in. So we're spending $32,000 on TV right now in the San Antonio, Austin market. That's what we're doing up there right now. It's got the audience enthusiasts. It tells you the travel enthusiasts up there, and the geography that's up there too. And it tells you the streaming the numbers for impressions on streaming. It gives you all of that, and then the impressions on television as well. So Spectrum's pretty good about giving us our numbers when we ask for them. Next slide. And we're also on Shark Week. Huge. Shark Week is huge. Obviously, those are travel enthusiasts. They care where the sharks are, right? And so we do a package with them for $3,000. This is our third year doing that package, and it's a really good one. There's a lot of people that watch that. Next slide, Gary. Where I'm at. So these are the social media pages that we manage from the Chamber of Commerce. Again, if there's anything that you have or that you know that people want us to promote. They don't have to be chamber members to promote events in Aransas Pass. They don't have to be chamber members for us to help them try to find ways to make their event better. We're there for that. That's what we do all day long. We're here to promote Aransas Pass. We're here to promote all that is good of Aransas Pass. That's what we're here for. And now I have this new campaign, which I'm really excited about. So I'm doing a campaign with Kaylin and Josh from the Candlewood, where we're cross-marketing each other and trying to capture a different audience. So we know that Civic Center is full on the weekends, but how can we capture the industry or the blue-collar guys who are coming here during the week to do their seminars and, trainings and that kind of stuff? So we brought Josh in. We know that those guys stay with him. We brought him in. And we're going to cross-promote. We have displays in his hotel. We're going to have them in the Fairfield. And we're going to do some cross-promoting. In exchange, we will put for Kaylin in the digital that's inside the Civic Center. These are the choice hotels. Stay here. So we can track them as they're coming in and out of both places. Kaylin will give Josh consignment tickets for the pool so they can track them there. And we're going to put together some marketing bags to target our industry personnel who are directly over like booking rooms or referring rooms or negotiating rates for their companies. We'll make these bags, and Josh is going to put a gift certificate in there for a free night stay. So let's say, Carrie, you were the one who did the reservations for Kiewit. We would give you a certificate with a bag and say, we want you to come stay at this hotel. We want you to experience the experience here in Aransas Pass. And we give you all these goodies, treat you like a VIP. We've already sold that property to you. Now this is a good experience. You'll send your people there, you'll refer them, and that will kind of go back and forth. Now, I know this works for a fact because I was a GM for a hotel for 15 years. And when I left those hotels, both of them were full. They were 100%. So they have trusted me, knowing that this is going to work, and it will work. And in exchange, hopefully, her days will be filled up at the Civic Center, and his nights will fill up on the weekdays, too. He can negotiate some rates and lock in some of his direct billing accounts and get some of the corporate business in there too. And so it's not just weekend, transient, overnight stay. And that campaign is even bigger than that. So we also have identified that we need a map with things to do, events, places to go. And so in addition to the one we're already doing, we're going to work with Kaylin and with Josh to come up with a new map, one that has information on it that can help him at his front desk and give, when you go to a hotel, you're asking, where's the best place to eat or where do you go? Well, we want those employees to know where those places are, where they need to go, where's the pool, all those things. So we're going to train them. We're going to give them the tools that they need so that we can use them to promote the Civic Center, the pool, and the hotel. And that's coming soon. That's in the design stages. Marcy's going to do the graphics on that. So we're looking forward to seeing something from there. We're still working with them in this campaign, too. This is brand new. So we're now in the baggage claim marketing campaign for the Corpus Christi Airport. This is where we're going to pull those blue-collar people in, the industry. We have these boards all going on the digitals. They should have started over the weekend. And this is going to last all the way to this time next year. And these are the designs that we made. Each one of them has a smart code, so it'll go directly to the lodging, or it'll go directly to Kaylin's Civic Center or the pool, and then to the hotels. So I'm excited about this. This is going to be really good. Next slide, Gary. These are the rack cards that together with Kaylin we came up with, one for the Aquatic Center and one for the Civic Center. Again, both have smart codes. They can go there or go directly to their website. So if she changes her information, she changes prices, she moves something around, the smart code automatically takes them to the changes. And these are the display boards that I told you are in the hotels now. Same as the rack card, so it's kind of cohesive. Both of them have smart codes, and it's exactly like the rack card, only now it's 6 feet tall and it's in the hotel lobbies. And this is the guide. I think I dropped one on your right in front of you. This has tons of information about Aransas Pass and all the resources we have to offer. It is a very popular item. Both of those go to all the entry points of Texas, and they call us like crazy for them. And the boxes are super heavy, so it is a lot of work to do that. But they're very popular. And the next round that we're going to start working on, we have a campaign going for the winter so that they'll be ready for our shows in early February. And only now we're going to start focusing on economic development. We're going to add all these things into it, but we're going to be talking about jobs and, resources for work and, like the colleges and craft training and all the things that we need to help people not just visit here, but stay here. These are the advertising resources that we're using right now. Some of them, not all of them, are probably in there, but there's tons of resources that we have that are a part of this campaign. And these are the hot funds, 2020 over 2021, which was about a $60,000 increase over 2020 in our projection. But in 2022, because we got that extra money, now our campaign's even larger, so we reimburse. So right now, the revenue that we've gotten so far, we're $20,000 over in expenses because we're spending what was left in 2021 to try to market as much as we can. And this right here is our downtown initiative. I have talked to you about this before. You know, the Chamber's mission is to promote business, tourism, recreation, and improve the quality and life and standard of Aransas Pass. This falls in line with everything about the Chamber of Commerce, which is why we've taken this on. You can see where I'm sure you guys have been in the downtown, you can see the progress where these clean green volunteers have worked really hard to help get us up. They're amazing. Yay. I didn't know they were here. Yep. They're watering plants, you know, they're sweating every day. And by the way, if anybody knows of a golf cart that's really inexpensive, we're trying to find one so they can, because the water jugs are really heavy. So to put them in their cars, we'd rather have a golf cart. The next thing that we're doing is the painting of the benches, and we're just waiting on Jeremy from Pro Touch to finish his job so he can come and do the painting of the benches and the bases of the poles. And then we're also going to be working on the signs that you see. So we're going to have some downtown signs where it's like eating, like dining, and nightlife, those kinds of things. We'll put those in the downtown, and hopefully the city employees will help us install them. But we will fund those through the Destination Aransas Pass account, where we've raised the money for them and continue to raise money through Party Gras, because everything about Party Gras' revenue goes straight into that Destination Aransas Pass account. It is not chamber money. We do not charge them for that. It's strictly for improvements to the downtown. And then the next thing is adding events. We know that there's an event coming. We know that the volunteers from the Rialto are coming up with a Christmas event. We're excited about that. We've offered to help them promote that any way we can and give them any kind of information they need. So that's kind of where we wanted this to go. Everything is happening the way we planned it to happen. We know that there's going to be another event. We know that now there's life in the downtown. Hook and Ladder is now open. Pookie's Pub is about to open. Yeah. Melinda's got a new tenant in there that does screen graphics, and some retail. She's got some stuff in there. So that everything's happening in the downtown finally, and we're really excited about it. The gym's opening up. I used to go to the gym there. A lot of traffic from a gym, and so that being in the downtown is really going to create some foot traffic too. So I can see the downtown in the next year really kind of coming to life. FitSeek is going into the Mattress Express.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Where the old Penguin used to be, or whatever it was called.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think in October, I think maybe. Okay. Next screen. I wanted to bring this up to you because in everything that we do, first of all, I want to thank you for your time and your commitment to serve the community of Aransas Pass. I know sometimes it can be hard, but we're here not just to identify things that we can point out that need to be done, but also find ways to help you get them done. The Chamber is here to help you any way we can within our means, and these are things that we have found over the last year that we feel like need to be identified as things that we need, and how can we help get there. Now we also have Marcy as a shared employee now, which is going to be doing some grant writing for us, so we think and hope that we can find some ways to at least get some of these things done. Signage, existing signage and new signage. We know that we need the new welcome signs and all those things that come into our community, and they make a big impact and a first impression. So something as simple as like that one sign that you see there could be a sign that's either coming into our community, or how about maybe that's our sign to the harbor. I think that the harbor we need to identify one main entrance to the harbor and really funnel all of our resources and all of our work into that one pathway, so that it's a huge impact. And that way, when we're funneling our traffic with our wayfinding signs, we're funneling everybody into this huge, beautiful, gorgeous opening to our harbor. And that would be one of the most critical things that I think we need to do, and I think that we can try to find some ways to help you do that. No pressure, but
I have some good ideas on that, by the way. I've voiced those ideas on a grand entrance to the harbor.
Yeah, we need to do that. And then downtown lighting is a huge problem for us. The repairs and the safety, it's dark. I don't know if those can be repaired, or if we need to find a way to fix them, or if TxDOT can help us with that. It is a TxDOT highway, and maybe there's some grants out there and some opportunities that they can meet us in the middle with. I think that's it, y'all, unless y'all have questions.
Do we do any advertising on the digital boards at CM Lanes?
Yes, we do. Mhm,
Okay,
we
'cause
have
that
one there
wasn't
too.
listed, and I know, we went there for Sunday morning breakfast again, and there were families with little kids, and what else can we do here
We
before
do
we
have,
go home?
maybe I need to go look at them again, but we put one in when he first did that, so we bought one for the whole year. But the other one we were doing was the movie theater, but we stopped doing the movie theater when this movie stopped coming out with COVID, but they're busy again now, so I need to look at that one too.
Yeah, but, to
Did you
to
make a note
market
of that, Marcy, please?
the water park for the kids.
Yes. Mhm.
Would be a
Yeah.
great idea at CM Lanes. So,
Excellent presentation. Very
Very
good.
much so.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
You can ask a couple questions.
Oh, are you asking me? Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know, Kenny? Yeah?
Yeah, Hector Rios, 1044 South Commercial. Of course, all of my customers come in from, so they have a lot to do with this hotel occupational tax, which she's getting the funding from. So I was just wanting to ask a couple of questions. You said that you didn't ask people where they're from. Why are y'all not getting that science? Why are you not asking people where they're from? Everybody else, like when you're at an event and when people are coming
The
in.
car show's not our event, so
Yeah.
I was just there volunteering. I don't have.
How about like a shrimpery or anything, asking, because any other event, a lot of the other
We know
events
where our
that.
shrimpery event people are
Yeah,
coming from.
a lot of the other
we-
events, though, they will have somebody go to a vehicle, all they ask is just zip code.
I can
and
only,
that was
I
it.
can only answer you for the events that we do, and
Mhm.
the traffic on the events that we do, we know where ours are coming from. So
Okay.
if we have a website or we have like the Hotties tournament, we know where our traffic's coming from. But I can't answer you for an event that doesn't belong to us. I don't
Mhm.
know who those people are.
Okay, alrighty. And why aren't we having more events? You said
Right.
that we need to do that, but yet we only
I'm not the
have.
event coordinator of the city, I'm the promoter of the city, so I
And
don't
that's,
know.
you
I would
don't
love-
have anything to do with,
I
doing events?
wish we could do everybody's events, but we can't. But we can help promote, we can help organize, we can show them how to do it, but we can't put their events on for them. We can promote them as much as we can and will, but unfortunately, we're not the only organization in the community. We need more organizations in our community to step up and have an event.
Sure.
Like you're
Okay.
saying, the Rialto is gonna do a
Yes,
Christmas
yes,
program,
yeah.
or Christmas
Yeah.
downtown something.
Okay,
That's
I'll
great.
do one.
Okay,
I'll get with you.
okay,
I'll do one. I'm really interested in it.
yeah.
I just started the Third Coast Business Alliance, so
Yeah,
I got my
we're happy
501
to help you
paperwork.
promote it and
I'm ready to
help you
roll.
kind of steer it, but
Mhm.
we just can't put it on for you. We
Oh,
don't
no,
have
of course not.
resources.
No, I'm just going to get with you. You said just to help promote it.
Yeah,
I,
we can
I
do
do the
that, for
work.
sure.
and I have no problem with that, doing the work. Okay. I greatly appreciate you.
No problem.
By chance, are you familiar with Chapter 7 of the Code Ethics for a nonprofit? No?
I may be, but I don't,
I'll get with you on that.
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very
Thank
much. You did an
you.
excellent job.
Favor of the council?
Oh. Where are we?
7-1.
Make a motion to approve a publicity and tourism agreement between the City of Aransas Pass and the Aransas Pass Chamber of Commerce for a one-year term beginning October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we're gonna go to consider and act an ordinance amending the city code of ordinance, chapter 2, administrative article 1, in general, section 2-1, council agenda, placing items thereon, providing a savings and severability clause, and providing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor and Council, if I may go ahead and begin this conversation. This is an outgrowth of a couple of work sessions that we have had, at least one work session. And the topic matter was putting items on the council agenda. And that's a very important topic because it could be open to abuse as well as being very productive. And everybody in this room, of course, wants it to be very productive. And the way that we are proposing, following discussions at a work session, that it be addressed is pretty similar to what we've been doing all along. And that is, instead of one person or two people or three people making a decision on what goes on the agenda, what's being proposed is that the agenda, if it's a council member, that the agenda item being suggested for the agenda be submitted in writing to the city manager, and then it goes to a work session. So it's pretty much what we've been doing for several years now. But that allows the entire council to make a decision on what goes on the agenda. That is something that is being proposed for you, for your consideration. And the same thing if a citizen wants to put an item on the agenda. The proposal will be made to the city manager again in writing. That will then go to a work session to see if the council wants to put that item on the agenda. Most of the items that go on the agenda, or many of them anyway, are routine day-to-day activities such as bids or things of that sort, pretty much house cleaning efforts that we're involved with every day that the council needs to make decisions on. And we'll go ahead and put those items on the agenda. But there are times when extraordinary or out of the ordinary items need to go on the agenda, and that's where the process I just described is being proposed for your consideration. In other words, it goes to a work session eventually for the council to decide, the entire council or a majority of the council to decide if that item should go on the agenda. That's what's being proposed in this ordinance that you have before you. Mary, am I forgetting anything on this? Okay. That's what's before you for discussion, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Pretty much personnel stay the same, like we got a personnel matter. They just,
Yeah, personnel
Just
cannot
like
be
it, yeah,
discussed in
exactly,
open meetings.
exactly.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we amend Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1, in General Section 2-1, Council Agenda, placing items thereon, providing a savings and severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're gonna go to the quarterly municipal court report for April and June to June.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is our quarterly report on cases filed, 604 convictions. We reported 126 warrants, 412 capias. Pro-fines are the ones that defaulted on their agreements, and we issued a capias. We issued 40 of those. I signed 26 warrants for the detectives, and we had about 120 people walk in. We have more traffic doing the teleconferences than people attending regular court dockets. We didn't have any emergency protective orders within these 3 months. I magistrated 9 after hours and on weekends, and then I signed 21 administrative warrants. We're still doing the online payments, IVR. We give them the option to pay online, and we have a Dropbox. We're still holding pre-trials by virtual, and we'd like to take advantage as long as the Supreme Court allows us to. I held 2 bench trials and held 2 emergency protective order hearings. I attended the Judges Regional Seminar and a Texas Municipal Court Association Board meeting. Captain Jones and I attended a court security conference where we picked up a lot of ideas that I have shared with y'all. And our court clerk also attended the clerk administrator. Other than that, if y'all have any questions, no? Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna go to the city manager quarterly report.
Mr. Mayor and Council, just as a reminder for you and the public for that matter, this is that time of the year where we do the quarterly reports, which are verbal. All of the other reports are in writing submitted to you, but this is the one of the 4 times in the year that we give you verbal reports. And the city manager's report, it was difficult trying to decide what I wanted to report on because there's so much to report on. So picked out highlights that you may not be aware of either all the details or may not be aware of the issue at all. Let's start with this one, and that is Con Brown Harbor Environmental. That's been worked on forever. And it's because of TCEQ and the requirements they have that it's taken a while and will take just a little bit longer. But I'm going to report to you there's been significant progress, which you'll see in just a moment. L&V, or Ardura, has been very helpful to us. Their environmental segment department as far as accomplishing the goals that we're trying to accomplish. I met with GLO not too long after I got here, asking, okay, there are liens, have been liens on Con Brown Harbor forever because of environmental issues. Tell me, TCEQ, what are, with GLO and in that conference call, again, this was years ago, what are those problems so we can address them and eliminate the liens? And they, TCEQ, pointed out 3 issues, 3 areas. And we'll start talking about those 3 areas, Gulf King, JBS site, and Coastline Resources site. In the case of Gulf King shrimp site, we now, as of a few days ago, have the closure letter received. Gulf King is that little black area, if you can see the screen, up by the boat barn, actually. That's done. We have the closure letter. In the case of the JBS site, the pink area that's on the map, that closure letter has been received. It's over. In the case of Coastline Resources site, that's generally the yellow area, and there's a little green in the middle of that. LNV is sampling the site quarterly and will have a biannual groundwater monitoring report submitted shortly, as well as one at the end of the year. And we're hopeful TCEQ will concur that the site meets closure standards. We're hoping, knock on wood, that by the end of this calendar year, we will have closed out all 3. And again, it's taken a while because TCEQ and the bureaucratic, and I don't mean that in a negative way, the bureaucratic process they have to go through is very time consuming. But progress has been made on a daily basis. And we are holding 2 closure letters, and hopefully the last one will come at the end of this calendar year. So I wanted to make you aware of that development. All that's fairly recent, actually. The issue of Ransom Island, environmental issues at Ransom Island, met with TCEQ in Austin recently. You heard about that. The goal was to see if TCEQ is receptive to a proposed plan to remediate long-present environmental issues at LWR. You're familiar with that. Had a productive meeting between the city, Ransom Island developers, and TCEQ at that meeting in early July. The next step is to have technical people from TCEQ, Ransom Island partners, and the city meet to work out details of the environmental remediation plan. And I received a call from TCEQ late last week to tell us that technical meeting will be set up very soon, in a matter of days. So we're reaching, hopefully, at the end of this process, we'll get an answer from TCEQ. They've worked it with us well, and that meeting that we had several days ago, the mayor and I went up there, with the Ransom Island partners and TCEQ. It was a major meeting, and very, very productive for the city. What you see there, as far as the map goes, is just a draft of a possible remediation plan that is being looked at by the technical people with TCEQ, Ransom Island partners, and the city. CDBG-DR, and some of you may have something to say on this as far as additional suggestions. This is the $10 million grant we received. The mayor was very active as far as getting that grant years ago for specific drainage projects. It is essentially complete, and there will be a little money left over. Can you believe it? We're meeting with GrantWorks and the state to see how those extra dollars can be used within very strict guidelines. We would be able to, we're hoping to be able to use those dollars for additional projects that weren't in the original proposal. So far, we're looking at the city's portion of PW 4644 at citywide pumps, 3, and metal buildings, 3 that go with the pumps. Generator for pump 1, Maddox, and generator for pump 2, Goodnight. That's what we're looking at this point. Any comment on that from any of you?
Me personally, I'd like to see, once we get all 3 of the pumps up and running again, looking into putting an additional pump on East Wheeler Street.
Okay.
And also look into it, the drainage ditch that's to the west side of Stapp and North McCampbell. Because I know we just cleaned the one on West Myrtle just here recently, about going from Stapp and continuing all the way to the ditch on West Myrtle. And possibly look into some of the ditches in residential areas about cleaning out, just to try and get ahead of the ball before we get a serious rain problem happening in the town.
And you and I talked about this earlier, and I asked if you'd send us an email on that so we have the language correctly.
Yes, sir. I'll do
so
that.
Appreciate it. Very good. Thank you. So that's what's happening on the CDBGR, that very large grant. Not many cities got grants that size. Cities of our size getting a grant of that size. Con Brown Harbor Development must resolve the sale versus lease issue first, as you know what our charter says. And we may be close to addressing that question. A current lease purchase discussion may lead the way on that matter. That's pretty much all I have to say on that at this point. It's being worked on with the attorneys with whom we are working. And you heard much of this already, the budget update. Too early to predict the budget numbers, as you heard. At this point of the year, revenue continues to be strong, but the impact of the current inflation still is unknown. Personally speaking, that's a little scary. Inflation was a frequent point of discussion during the budget talks we held recently and is responsible for many readjusted budget requests. Just about finished. City by the Sea water line over 50 years ago, before many of us were born. The city of Aransas Pass received the okay from the industry located there at the time to place a water line on land now owned by Rockport Terminals. Since that time, the city began serving water to the city, to City by the Sea, and a few other homes. Recently, Rockport Terminals told the city they could no longer have that line on their land. The city's hired an attorney to assist us with this issue. A letter went out to City by the Sea customers in early July pointing out that the city of Aransas Pass has been working on behalf of its customers in City by the Sea and the Shaver Road area to protect the water pipeline. Rockport Terminals has agreed to work this matter out with Aransas Pass and not remove the line and leave the customer without water until we can work out a solution. That solution is not yet worked out. A lot more I could say, but just want to hit the highlights, and I don't want to take the entire evening. So that's a quick report from the city manager. Any questions you might have?
Good update. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna go to community enrichment, which is the third quarter community enrichment report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we were all requested by Gary to keep our department reports to 5 minutes, but since I have 4, that gives me 20, right?
Well, that gives you 2.
Got it. Okay, so I'll try to make this kind of quick. We'll be covering, next slide, please. April, May, and June. This took us from a very strong spring into a very strong summer. So first, looking at the Aquatic Center. Next slide, please. The Aquatic Center from April 1st to June 30 did just over $150,000 in revenue from online and in-person sales, and that was a collection of admissions, concessions, merchandise, park rentals, and a new addition, which was community sponsors, or like we like to call them partners. We sold in that time period 1,350 in sponsorships, and we received almost all of that. Of course, a lot of those accounts are on payments throughout the summer, so those are monthly amounts that we collected. And this is just us approaching the community and saying that the aquatic center is something the city offers as an amenity to the city. And so this is some really great leaders in the community who believe in this concept, support this concept, and that's why they're giving. Community presence, some of our key signature events that we did in that period of time. In April, we did a soft opening with our Earth Day event, which was extremely successful. May, we did our drowning prevention awareness event. Another great one. And then in June, the world's largest swim lesson we participated in. And our attendance for this period was just over 20,000 visits. And that does not count our repeat visitors for punch cards and season passes. Next slide, please. Our library. The library has been extremely busy the summertime with their summer reading programs, Oceans of Possibilities. We also increased our story time options from 2 meetings to adding a third, and so that was also successful. You see a few matrix there for our library visits, book checkouts, our Overdrive, which is the online book checkouts, story time visits, and internet users. And again, that's April through May. Next slide, please. Our Civic Center. That property has been super busy. We did a lot of notable events in this time period, which I have a few bullet points here. April, A Night to Remember Prom, the Women's Club Annual Style Show, our annual car show, which was tremendously successful. May, our busiest month yet in reservations. Primarily those were graduation ceremonies and private parties. We received our long-awaited shipment of 2,000 banquet chairs, which updated the property, gave us a great new look, and then filled the month of May with voting, which is a valuable asset to the property because it keeps the name in people's minds and on the front of their thinking. June, we successfully handled our first date on record with 4 simultaneous events. That was fun. We did the Brush County Gun Show, which is a new company that does gun shows that's booked with us. They've put several on the books, and they've been great to work with so far. We did our first pickleball meeting, Salty Dog fishing tournament, and then here we have a few numbers for those 3 months. Public events, just to pick out a few, 19. Private events, 29. And then programs, this is a new column that we'll be reporting on, and that's items such as pickleball. For this period, our revenue was over $80,000 for the property, 85 and some change. Next slide, please. Our senior programs, we've kept busy. A strategy that we have found pretty successful is to integrate these meetings with what our other programs have to offer. And so what we've done is, while we still hold some meetings at the Civic Center that cover a variety of topics, and different professionals will come out and give us some information on their trades, but we've also encouraged our program attendees to come out and see what pickleball is all about, or go to the aquatic center and try out some of the aerobics, those types of things. We've brought in our community partners. We have our Anthem Home Care. That was a really great meeting. We talked about some things that we'd like to see in the community garden, those types of things. So it's been a very busy quarter, and we're extremely grateful for all of your support and for helping us get to where we are now as we continue to get through the summer. Any questions?
What time do you go to bed at night?
Yeah.
Between 3 and 5 you sleep, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You've done
Thank
a
you.
great job.
You're doing a fantastic
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to Development Services, which is consider an act on awarding the request for proposals for the lift station improvement project to Southern Trenchless Solutions LLC in the amount of $1,299,002.
$2.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. David Flores had asked me to come in regards to the purpose to approve the bid for a total of 8 wastewater lift stations that will provide backup diesel pumps for emergency situations. Currently, the background and findings, the City of Aransas Pass did receive sealed bids on July 14th this year at 2 p.m. to provide backup diesel pumps for Ransom, Baytree, Demery, Blossom, McMullen, Goodnight, Walgreens, and Yoakum Lift Station. This project is actually going to be FEMA funded. Any questions?
And the city has a 10% on this FEMA money?
I'm sorry?
The city's portion is 10% on this FEMA money?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I'll make a motion that we award the request for proposals for the lift stations improvements project to Southern Trenchless Solutions LLC in the amount not to exceed $1,299,002.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Consider an act on approving change order number 1 to the contract with Lester Contracting for the Highland and Johnson Drainage Project in the amount of $173,737.75. The total cost of the change order would be covered by the grant.
Thank goodness.
Mayor, Council, Eric Villarreal. Good evening. Eric Villarreal with Ardura Group, formerly LNV. Your last statement is correct. It's a change order for the Highland Johnson Drainage Project. I'm going to give you just a few examples of why this change order is needed. But first of all, did want to emphasize that the grant is covering the full amount, so no additional money is coming out of the city's pocket. We are under the 25% threshold for change ordering into the contract. A couple of things that are pretty significant. We had 36-inch pipe that was going to be installed. When we surveyed, our surveyors measured the pipe, through manholes or junction boxes. Well, when the contractor excavated, that pipe had been crushed, and so what appeared to be a 36-inch pipe was actually 42. So rather than going with 36-inch pipe when it was 42-inch before, we're getting a credit for that 36-inch pipe, but putting in 42-inch pipe. Another significant cost, and this is, again, not known until the contractor took out and excavated and took out some of the existing pipe. On some of the pipe, we have gravity wastewater lines going directly through the pipe. And that happens in multiple areas, and we've got a wastewater main that does the same thing. So in order to correct that issue, we've added junction boxes at each location and having to sleeve the wastewater line. And so again, with this change order, a lot of things that were found out once the contractor excavated. Again, these are needed to complete the project. The contractor's on site, continuing to work. Should not affect the time frame on that at all. But again, the change order itself will be totally covered by the grant.
Do you foresee any additional problems or any other change orders coming up on this project?
I don't believe so. They've identified everything that's really at the full scope of the work. It's not like they've noticed something here and then they still need to work over here, and they've already kind of gone over the entire project, and this is what we anticipate to be the final change order.
Did the city, were we responsible for knowing what the size of the pipe was, or was that y'all?
It's we've got base maps, we have survey. Again, we measured the pipe, but there's really no way to know until you excavate the pipe.
One day you'll have a camera system. Just scope the line.
Go ahead.
All right, I move to approve change order number 1 to the contract with Lester Contracting for the Highland and Johnson Drainage Project in the amount of $173,737.75. The total cost of the change order will be covered by the grant.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to the third quarter, for Public Works report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for the, this quarter, the utility department has had 32 water pressure issues, 42 stop sewer calls, and line maintenance, they have done 71,500 feet. So in order for with the line maintenance, what we do is we jet the sewer mains and try to keep them clean, so to reduce stop sewers or sewer main stops as general line maintenance. As far as the street and drainage department, they have done 98 streets of patching. Speaking of patching, the material that is actually getting harder to come by. All the plants aren't making it, or they're giving us a 2 to 3 month time frame before we can get material. So we're working on other avenues on which to get more different material, which is going to be a little more costly, but we're working to figure that out. Sign replacements, repair, we had 145 this quarter. That's a constant thing we are working on. We are doing, as Councilmember Knight said, working on drainage ditches since it is the season. We do have a map that we follow. We had done all the Slaughter Ditch that feeds into Saunders that has recently been redone with the grant. So we're consistently working on this. If we missed one or if you see one that you see needs immediate attention, just let us know and we can address it. We are running the street sweeper often. Especially on the harbor. It's now that we have a new curb, we want to make sure we keep it clean. Downtown and any streets with curbs, trying to maintain them. What else do we got? As far as citywide projects, we did have 3 new projects. One is the McCampbell Ditch. We have completed one side of the McCampbell Ditch. We are currently waiting on the excavator rental to pull up the remaining debris and to grade the bottom of the ditch. We're anticipating about 2 weeks for it to be complete, the McCampbell Ditch project that we ended up taking in-house. So with that, we also have, in this quarter, we did the Resendez Drive paving. Of those sculptures also at Johnson as you go in. And we are also looking into as you approved for the backup generators going into the lift stations, so hopefully now that y'all have approved it within 10 days, the trenchless solutions can get started on that. So you have any questions?
The McCampbell Ditch looks great.
It's in the works, yes. I'm actually glad that we took it in-house. At first, it was a little, scary, but once we got into it, it's working out really well. And we're glad we did it to get the experience in that we didn't think we could do. So we're
Very
glad for
excited.
David for helping push us to do that, get us comfortable and familiar with that. So
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna go to the
Building.
third quarter building department report.
So for the building department, this quarter they had done 22 commercial buildings, 52 residential buildings, permits 75 plumbing, 84 electrical, for a total of 295. The fees collected were $76,343.11. So as more rooftops come in, more remodeling, people are actually still working on repairs from Harvey, so they're still working and pulling permits and doing that, and new development. Any questions on that?
Okay, now let's go to the third quarter planning department report.
So for the planning department, they had, it was 14 applications for this quarter. They had with the application fees, they generated $3,595. Hogan Homes is still on subdivision. They're still going smoothly to the next phase and continuing. So that's for the planning department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna go to Ms. Sandra.
That would be very quick and painless, I promise. Okay, we're just gonna go to the graphs. Can we just go to the graphs so that we can, okay, there we go. This is the budgeted versus actual revenues. The bars is what's the budgeted, and the red dot is what's the actual that came in. As you can see, for the general fund, we received more money. For the debt service, we also came in higher in aquatic center. Now, for the water and the civic center, we didn't hit the mark quite yet. So that's for the revenue side. Let's go ahead and look at the expenditure side. Oh, Shazam, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what happened there, but we won't look at the expenditures. But it's gonna be really. No, then let's go back up to the third page. The other page? One more. There you go. Okay, overall, we had budgeted revenues of 1.2 million. We had actual revenues of 1.2 and actual expenditures of 1.2. We had net, surplus of 51,000 for the month of May. Year to date, we are at about 3.4 million. Overall, this includes all the funds. Now we could go down and start looking at what makes up our sales tax. If you want to go down, another one. There you go. Okay, property tax collected year to date, we're at $6 million for right now compared to last year at $5 million, and the year before that at 4.7. Next slide, please. Here we go. This is our sales tax collected. This is just for the city. We're at 1.8 million right now, and you can see, like Rosemary said, the growth we're as compared to previous years. Next slide. Now, this is our whole 2 cents together. This is what the city gets, what MDD gets, and what crime control gets. All of that adds up to year to date at $2.6 million collected. Next slide. These are our water customers, and we can see the trend of them continuing to grow. All right, back in 2018, we had 4,025 customers. As of right now, we had 4,612. So we see the trend is continuing to grow on that. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next one, the third quarter investment report.
All right. Here we go. All right. So we had about $7.2 million available to invest for the quarter. We yield a return on our investment. We earned about $15,223, which is a return on our investment of 0.79%. The benchmark, which we target, is a 3-month T-bill. We did not meet our benchmark. Interest rates are getting higher. The benchmark is 1.08%. We had 20.51% of our money at Prosperity, 34.23% of our money at Texpol, and 45.26% at Texas Class. We earned $876 worth of interest at Prosperity Bank. We earned $4,370 interest at Texpol, and we earned $9,977 in interest in the quarter at Texas Class. Do you all have any questions on that? No? See, very quick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna go to public safety, which is consider an act and approving resolution accepting the Texas
Opioid.
Abatement Fund Council and Settlement Allocation Term Sheet for the acceptance of a recovered fund by the Texas through the joint action of the Attorney General and the State Political Subdivision.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this is, we're seeking your support on item 12.1, which is basically just a resolution to accept recovered funds from a settlement with opioid pharmaceutical supply chains with the state of Texas. This is disbursements that are being allocated to only cities and counties. So we're looking to accept this resolution so that we can move forward and potentially getting allocations from the recovered funds of these settlements.
Is this something new for us?
No, this is something that is kind of new. It had come up in our radar, and when we got our grant writing person, we wanted to go after some of these funds that were already being allocated. And one of the things that we're looking towards on funding, because we have some mechanisms already in place with the opioid problem here in the community and stuff that we're working on. But one of the other things that we're focused on with this is trying to help fund an EMS project for a community paramedic program, which was shared with y'all, I think, at the budget workshop. We firmly believe in that program. It's been greatly successful elsewhere, and we do have people who fit the category what these funds can be used for because of drug use, mental health resulting from extensive drug use history and stuff like that, that would also help with the paramedic, community paramedic program. So.
Awesome. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve a resolution accepting the Texas Opioid Abatement Fund Council and settlement allocation term sheet for the acceptance of recovered funds by Texas through the joint actions of the Attorney General and the state's political subdivisions.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll go to consider an act on approving.
Thank you.
Genesis size to serve as the mass emergency alert notification system for the city of Aransas Pass for a 3-year term to replace Code Red emergency alerts.
Yes, Mayor and Council, and this is one of the things that will be on our budget as well for renewal. We're coming up on our 3-year with Code Red, and Code Red has kind of been stagnant, and some of the things that we're looking for as far as expansion and needs, one of the things that Mrs. Abrego's brought up as well is Spanish translation and language translation in general on some of our alerts. This program or system offers kind of the best solution to what we're looking for and going forward. Another thing is the state has imposed a requirement that when there's a mass shooting or active threat or something like that, there's certain notifications that have to be made. Well, when you're in the midst of dealing with a situation like that, you don't have time to make certain notifications that the state mandates. This will fix that with a one-click button solution, which currently we don't have a solution that's that quick. The other thing is, why are we coming to you early on this if it's a budget-related item? Because Code Red actually starts and renews 1 month before our budget does, so we've already had to give them notice of intent to potentially cancel, but we need to have something in place before that terminates. We can't go a month without our emergency notification system. This would be that replacement, and the company says, look, we'll even do this. Once you get it approved, we'll cover you from that moment all the way to October, and your contract don't start until October. So we're going to get a few months free. That gives us enough time to adapt, move all of our clients over that are in our current Code Red database, and get our system set up and be ready to go for when the actual contract takes place. And just so you know, several of the employees that built this system, I am told, are employees that worked for Code Red that left and went and joined this company. So we're very excited to see how we can expand our notification system to our community based off of what we'll get out of this awesome product.
I'll make a motion to approve Genesis SAS to serve as the mass emergency alerts notification system for the city of Aransas Pass for a 3-year term to replace Code Red emergency alerts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna go to consider an act on a request from the Aransas Pass Fire Department Association to use the Slippery Grounds for the 2nd annual Smoke on the Coast Barbecue Cook-Off on November 4th through 5th, 2022.
Mayor and Council, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm here tonight on behalf of our firefighters. Several of them had planned on being here tonight, but they were on a fire scene for several hours this afternoon. And by the time I sat down here, they still weren't home yet. So I am speaking for them tonight. As most of you know, last year in partnership with the Spirit of Aransas Pass, the Aransas Pass Fire Department held its first Smoking on the Coast Barbecue Cook-Off fundraiser at the Shrimpery Grounds. This was sanctioned by the Champions Barbecue Alliance. We had 19 teams compete, as well as a lot of vendors, and it was overall a successful fundraiser. This year, members of the fire department as the Aransas Pass Firefighters Association, has formed a committee to carry on this event, and we are seeking your approval for that tonight. We have opted to try to plan this for later in the year. We held it in September last year when it was still very hot. Another reason that we'd like to try to hold this later is we're still under drought restrictions, and we don't think that it's very prudent to have barbecue grills going on a grass field when we've had zero rain. I've included some other additional information in my request as far as the particulars. Since we did this last year, a lot of it is going to be the same as last year as far as our setup and resources, the way that we seek donations. One other thing I'd like to add that I did not put in there is I have sought a quote for event insurance. So if that's something that we would need to have, we're also considering that as well.
It was great last year. We enjoyed it very much.
Sure was.
Well, like Rosemary mentioned earlier, and I believe it was Mr. Rios that suggested it as well, we'd like to continue having events within the city that benefit not only our department, but other people within the community. And this is something we'd like to try to continue.
You looked at the championship website and dates, and this was an open weekend for them?
So another motivation for moving from September 25th to the first weekend in November is because they had 5 events scheduled for September 25th.
Yeah, we don't want to be one of those.
No, we don't want to have a lot of competition.
I make a motion to where are we? To act on a request from the Aransas Pass Firefighters Association to use the Shimpery grounds for the 2nd annual Smoking on the Coast Barbecue Cook-Off on November 4th and 5th, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to go to the third quarter public safety report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and Gary's already kicking me. I understand, Gary. I got the memo earlier. Okay. So I'm going to just shoot down the list. You have all 3 reports in great detail. We publish them monthly, but let me pull the highlights out of those. Basically, we have 2 new animal control employees that are already up, running, and working. All of our patrol officers and officers in general are off training status and working. I believe we still have 1 dispatcher in training, and I just got notice today we do have one of our officers leaving the Corpus Christi Police Department. I will have you to know, CCPD had 67, I believe, applicants for their lateral position. They only hired 2. Only 2 made the cut. 1 came from Aransas Pass. That means something. So I'm very proud of that and that officer. We had 13 animal control adoptions over the last quarter, and we installed 95 microchips through our animal control. We roughly managed around 60 marine-related events through the Harbor Safety and Enforcement Officer, and that's Chuck. They do stay busy, especially this time of year, with our marine and dive team. And I was invited by the
Chuck.
Chuck, I'm so sorry. I was thinking Chuck. Jack McCarty.
Yes.
Thank you for stopping me. That's why he kicked me. No, I'm very sorry of that. It's just, I don't know, brain fart, Freudian slip there.
Had a slip there.
Sorry about that.
Sorry,
yeah,
Jack,
McCarty. My apologies, Jack. I was also invited to sit as a board member for the Texas Police Chiefs Association Technology Board. I actually put in for that, and they're going to be inviting me when they have those board meetings. They have multiple boards for the Police Chiefs Association. That's one of them. In training, our emphasis right now, as you probably can imagine, is on school safety and security. We had that planned early on last fiscal year, or this current fiscal year, for the summertime. That's when kids are out and we can utilize the campus. In training, over the last quarter, we trained 121 students. That's all students. Some of those could be repeat through training courses. And in total, we provided about 1,944 hours of man-hour training that's reportable to the state. We are one of the heaviest, probably, training providers this side of San Antonio. So we're very big on that. Dispatch, we sent the highlighted dispatch fully staffed. We ended up having to send 2 to Uvalde to help. We also did send 2 officers to help, but our dispatchers stayed the longest. And I was told by the commander over Operation Coyote Overwatch that we contributed significantly to that situation that had to manage, I believe, well over 200 officers that responded in response to the Texas Police Chiefs Association, their request for assistance. So we've got some wonderful staff, I'm telling you, very trained, very skilled. Patrol, we had officers, the highlights, we had some miscreants come from out of town, decided to try to rob or commit a theft at the Navy Army store, you may recall back. Quickly caught them, but we did have to pit the vehicle to stop the chase. We had a Spanky's burglary that was a burglary in progress. Wasn't hard to catch him. He was across the street sitting in his truck bed and engaging in getting more drunk off the items he stole. So that was quite easy. Alan Samuels called us. They had a fraudster in their midst in the lobby. The victim actually was paying attention in Austin or San Antonio, caught somebody running his credit at Alan Samuels, called the dealership, working with the police. We caught this guy. He's likely connected with others as well. And like good friends would do, they left him there, so we don't know who they are. But that helped us catch him. So that fraudster was put away. We had 23 DWI arrests. This is just patrol. We recovered 2 stolen cars in the last quarter, and finally we got a patrol detective assigned, and he's been helping the patrol captain. And we had a STEP grant that patrol helped fill to work. A STEP grant is specialized traffic enforcement. They actually really enjoyed that program. I'm going to be going out for another. That was a grant that you all blessed us with your approval. I'm going to go out for another grant, try to get STEP year-round so they can work it as they want to make extra cash. But we also had quite a few traffic tickets issued out during that time, so it was a very successful program. CID investigations, the top issues that they're faced with are property crimes, burglaries, and thefts. But I will have you to note, when we looked at recent trends that I'd sent to the mayor in response to a question he received, you see a steady decline in property crimes over the last 10, 12 years or so. So property crimes have been going down. All the other stuff's kind of a shotgun all over the place. But we're pretty well consistent with some of the communities around us. One of the things you may have heard is that our crime rate is so high we can't invite or entice people or businesses to come in. I will have you to know that one resource that puts that crime rate so high, or us so high, puts Rockport right next to us, 1 point away. But when you look at those communities, there you can see the differences that you see here. Rockport, developed community, Aransas Pass looks a little bit different, but the development's coming in. We're all realizing it, and I think that, like they often say, the best is saved for the last. So we're going to get some great development in the area to complement our community. The DEA task force officers assisted Walgreens with a drug take-back event that happened in April. And a couple of our investigators are also very heavily involved with some of the training, the active school threat training. So we've got some very big active threat training kicking off tomorrow through the rest of the week pretty much. And detectives also go out, and they've been staying pretty busy over the last few months keeping tabs on our registered sex offenders that are in town. We do regular follow-ups with them or spot checks and visits to make sure they're in compliance. That's all I got for you unless you got questions. I hope that was fast for you.
That was great. You guys are doing a great job. You really are.
Thank you for all
Appreciate y'all.
Really
Thanks,
are.
guys.
Archie?
All right, your turn.
It didn't click on anything, so I didn't know. So, over the last few months, we did have 227 calls, 29 of those being fires. Of course, the largest one is still the EMS calls that we're responding with Tri-County that we assist them on. We put in, let's see, let's try to see. Building fires alone were 9 What we're seeing the highest in right now is, of course, grass fires. Grass fires are getting out of control. I had a pretty big one today. We're asking people to really pay attention to the things, open burning, kind of sparks. Check your chains on your truck. Don't throw cigarettes out the windows, those kind of things. For our inspections, we did 50 inspections, 4 of those being re-inspections, 44 inspections of just annual and biannual inspections that we do normally. In training, the guys have been doing a lot of training again, and we're working with some other folks to do training. We started doing a lot of the training with the police department for active shooter stuff. In fact, some of our guys are actually becoming instructors in some of that stuff. But just in-house training, we did 142 and a half hours of training the guys got into. Any questions?
Fire hydrants, how are we looking? How many out of service? What's the deal? I didn't see
Happen
that
to
as
know?
part of your,
We've been reporting those to Public Works. I know that they've been working on it,
Okay.
and I know that they were trying to repair so many hydrants a month.
right?
Or replace, I should say. They've been doing a great job. I know that there's probably some still out there, and we continuously are doing our maintenance on fire hydrants every Friday. The guys go out and do hydrant maintenance.
I was just worried because we are so dry, and
Yes.
if another fire breaks out, we need to make sure that all the fire hydrants are working.
Yes.
Do we have a clue on today's fire, what started it?
No, I do not. It was,
I thought it was
up
too
in an
far.
open field.
I know.
Yeah, there's nothing that's just obvious.
But all
and
of our
stuff.
boys are safe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good job.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to staff, council or staff announcement.
There is a work session scheduled for July 28th, Mayor and Council. And one of the items is an update on the budget, where we are with the budgetary situation, budgetary process, I should say. There's a citywide beautification that Kalen is working on, and we'll have a report for you on that. The Fall Feast, which also involves Kalen, we need to reach a conclusion on some outstanding questions with the upcoming Fall Feast, upcoming in November. Citizen request for an AEP light at North Railroad Street. We'll talk about that if you agree. And amendments to the personnel policy. And all those items we plan to discuss at this point. As you know, this is liquid, or this moves, so we could add or take away from. So anyway, that's where we are at this point.
Sounds good.
We're gonna go to citizen comments. Citizen comments are intended for the matter that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding and discussing your comments. The law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policy, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for a subsequent meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Susan Burns, 938 South Bay Street. I'm a member of the Clean Green, and I have an issue. I feel that we're being taken advantage of as volunteers. We clean the streets with brooms and dustpans, put them into pails, take them home and dump them in our garbage cans. The street sweepers and the Public Works Department were commended on their street sweeping efforts, but not at the main streets. The intersection by HEB, I have 3 pots that I take care of. While watering, there are a total of 6 of us that have volunteered to, we get water from the Chamber of Commerce, and they have provided us with the flowers to replant the dead ones. And clogged drains with plastic bottles
garbage that's overflowing from the garbage trash cans that are right by the pots and the benches. I've encountered a city worker who informed me that he was instructed not to attend the ground plants that are around the pots. I didn't understand. I didn't take his name. He just asked me, "Are you a clean green girl?" And I went, "Yes, I am." And he says, "Well, we were told not to touch these. So we're watering not just the pots, but the ground around the pots. Some spots are struggling. Some places are doing very well. But I just wanted to let you all know I feel that we're being taken advantage of. And I don't know how to fix it or who to call or what to say, but that's why I'm here. I want to make Aransas Pass look good at the main intersections, the streets, and there is so much garbage. I go 3 times a week and water and take my broom and my dustpan and my bucket and I sweep up garbage off the street. Thank you. Help me.
We thank you.
Please
Thank
help
you
me.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I just wanted to kind of add to what she was saying. We did have this conversation about a week ago with some of the ladies from that, and I did tell them that we might be able to get some help from the Sheriff's Department. I know Oscar Rivera is always asking us if we need help. They do have inmates that help us a tremendous amount of help with shrimpery. They clean up before and after, and they're not, really dangerous people. They're just kind of there for a few minor things. And they even told us that anytime we needed help, they look forward to getting out. And so they obviously have, someone with them. But that might be some kind of thing we could put on a schedule where they could at least come weekly and kind of, do a cleanup. So when they're doing a cleanup, it's not so much for them. And again, if we can get, if anybody knows someone who's selling a golf cart really, inexpensive or wants to donate one, I think that would also help them with the trash pickup too, because again, they are walking and they're using their vehicles and having those big, I don't know, what are those 5-gallon buckets of water that y'all have? They're pretty big. In fact, I'm picking up a blower for them tomorrow because they kind of blow some of the curbs and stuff. And they needed one that was battery operated and one that was really, really light because, again, they're not 20 years old like some people. But, just kind of wanted to let you know that we are working on some of that stuff, and maybe we can get with the sheriff and see if he can help us with some of that.
Anybody else? Okay, now we're going to go into executive session, which is section 551.071 of the Texas Open Meeting Act, to meet with his attorney to seek legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the city council under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act in section 551.072 deliberations regarding the real estate property as it relates to a commercial contract with 630 Ransom Island Partners LLC for unimproved property within a addendum of special provisions for Nueces CAD number 380310, a 28.61 acres of land of Ransom Island, Track 7 community, commonly known as 630 East Ransom Road, Aransas Pass, Texas 78336. Section 551.071 of the Texas Open Meeting Act, to meet with his attorney to seek legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the city council under Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act relating to Microcore Technologies Incorporated, Octagon Tower Services LLC, and it is 7:03.
Thank you all for coming.
We're gonna reconvene in open session to take action if any of any item discussed.
No action to be taken. I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.